episode of Card Talk, a podcast where we spend a little bit of time talking about cards from Lord of the Rings, the card game. I'm your host, Dave Walsh, and in this episode, we're doing something a little bit different. I reached out on Reddit, and on Reddit, I was asking new or casual players if they needed some help or advice about building decks. Not that I am an amazing deck builder, but I wanted to branch out a little bit, and so I thought it would be really neat if I could build minimum purchase decks. Some of the community is really not as hardcore into Lord of the Rings, but definitely loves the game, loves the theme. And so I thought it would be nice to build a minimum purchase deck for people who suggested certain scenarios. So Cat Attack 22 said that Dunland Trap was next, so I thought that I would build a deck, minimum purchase, that could beat the Dunland Trap. The first thing that I did to beat the Dunland Trap was I went to the Vision of the Palantir. The Vision of the Palantir, when you go there, you can read about the Dunland Trap. And this is one of those scenarios that you probably won't beat the first time you play it, because it is just that. It's a trap scenario. So without any spoilers right this moment, the whole point of the scenario is bad guys are luring you into a trap. And its official difficulty here is a 7. And that means that it's on the order of difficulty as Escape from Dol Guldur, which I'm not so sure about that. Anyways, and so I read down through it, and I highly recommend you reading Vision of the Palantir so that you can go through this and figure out what the heck is going on, and that way you have some notes to take. Okay, now it is a little bit of a spoiler, but I think after you play it once, as long as you get past the first quest stage, you probably understand what the spoiler is, or what the trap is. Okay, so my deck is right here. So I want to talk about what decisions I made and why I decided to do it. And I played this twice. I put the quest log into the deck so you can see the deck. I'll post this link with the video, and I'll post this video in the deck list. That's why everybody can see it. I decided to go with, and so let's first discuss what minimum purchase means. Minimum purchase means that whoever's playing this really only has one core set. They have the deluxe expansion, and then whatever scenario pack or adventure pack that that comes. So I'm really only building with a card pool of maybe 100 cards or so. So it can be a little tough, maybe even less. So I decided that the best way to go about this is to use Tactics Hammer. Tactics Hammer is good in this deck because he gets his +2 when a character leaves play. And you're going to need a lot of chump blocking in this deck. So Hammer every turn is going to get +2 attack, and that's going to be a huge benefit, especially in the first round for this scenario. And then Eowyn is the obvious choice for questing. Again, the first round of this scenario is very difficult. You want to make sure that you quest through the Old South Road right away, because that can really hurt you to begin with. So Eowyn is your questing, plus there's a lot of card hate in this scenario. So because of all the card hate, it's probably good to pitch your cards and make them useful, as opposed to just letting them sit in your hand. So by card hate, what I mean is you're going to be discarding cards a lot. Doesn't seem like it, but trust me, that's what's going to end up happening. Okay, and then Theodred, I picked because I'm going to want resource acceleration, and there's not a ton of resource acceleration that's consistent if you just have one core set. That resource acceleration comes in the form of the Steward of Gondor, which is a phenomenal card. But here, Theodred, you get that one extra resource, and coupled with Eowyn, you're probably not going to quest unsuccessfully. So, not that it matters about his response, but getting that extra resource to be able to put on most likely Eowyn is going to be very good. Okay. So then when you go down through the quest, okay, I have the quest cards pulled up here. The first quest card really is you dealing with that time counter. And so when that time counter goes off, you have to discard all your cards. So that's why Eowyn comes into play, and that's why things are going on there. But even before then, you want to engage a Boar Clan enemy. And so when I engage the Boar Clan enemy, the enemy that I engage is going to be this guy, this Boar Clan warrior. Okay, this Boar Clan warrior, he has 1 defense and 4 health, and he also doesn't get any bonuses for anything. He does get extra shadow cards, which is usually fine, but and so that 1 defense and 4 health put it at the magic number 5, which Eomer has right off the bat. So it seems like I can usually quest through the first location as the active location, and then I can kill this guy as long as you get a chump blocker out at the very beginning. So you come back to the deck list, and you'll see that I have 25 allies, and all of them are 2 or 1 cost, with the exception of Beorn, Gandalf, and Faramir. I have 5 allies that are big old allies. Okay, and so here's the thing: there are all of these guys. The Blue Mountain Trader, Gondorian Spearman, Guard of the Citadel, Snowborn Scout, Veteran Axe Hand, Wandering Took, and Westfold Horsebreeder. These are really in the deck because you just need chump blockers out there to make sure that you're able to defend or to take the attacks that the enemy is giving you. Okay, so in the first round, if you get a Snowborn Scout into play because his ability allows you to put 1 token on the active location, then that is bonus because that's pseudo questing. And so in that first round, you don't want to use your allies for questing, unless you have more than 1 ally, but that's not likely. But anyways, so if you're able to pseudo quest with the Snowburn Scout, then you only need 3 progress on the active location. That makes Eowyn and Theodred a little more likely to do it. When you pitch a card to her, to Eowyn, you're questing for 6, and if this guy comes out, now you only need 3 to clear the current quest, so that gives you a little more buffer. As you go through, the Blue Mountain Trader is not really in there for his ability. This is a solo deck, so there's no reason to use his ability. It's really just a 2-cost ally with a bunch of stats. The same is true with the Wandering Took. He's just a 2-cost ally with a lot of stats. The Westfold Horsebreeder is in this deck. It's a 1-cost ally, which is great if you get it in the first round, and then you can use her response to bring out or to try and find one of the 5 horses that are the mounts that are out there, Firefoot or the Rohan Warhorse. Now, you don't want to get too crazy with Firefoot and the Rohan Warhorse, but if you get one of those guys, it's very good to put it on Eomer at the beginning, just 1. So there's 5 of these guys, just so the Westfold Horsebreeder doesn't whiff, and you can get the one of these mounts onto Eomer in the beginning rounds. Okay, and again, a lot of these cheapo allies are not are only there just to be able to chump block. Okay, so now the Gondorian Spearman and the Veteran Axe Hand. Gondorian Spearman is nice as a chump blocker because of his damage, but that's a core set staple. And then, of course, the Veteran Axe Hand, same thing, is great out there, but they cost 2. So you're not pulling any of these tactics guys out the first round. So depending on your opening hand, you can take Theodred's resource and you can either give it to Eowyn if you need the 2. You can have Theodred keep it or give it to Eomer depending on what, and then you'll have 2 resources in your hand for the second round. And then the second round, you may want to play a Celebrian Stone if you have it, or a Steward of Gondor. Now, Steward of Gondor is going to go onto Eowyn. Okay, you want to put it on Eowyn. You want her to be able to generate enough resources to pull out Blue Mountain Trader. You want her to put out Wandering Took and Westfold Horse Breeder. But you also want her to be able to always be able to cast Test of Will and have something for Dwarven Tomb. And then this Stand and Fight. Now, the Stand and Fight is an interesting card. Even though it's an event, I count this as an ally because the Stand and Fight, you're you can bring back every ally you have except for Gandalf. The ally has to belong to some sort of sphere, so it can't be Gandalf. But so this actually counts as an ally. So if you're going to pitch Beorn to stand in to Eowyn to boost her willpower, then you can pull him back out with Stand and Fight. The key to this, though, is not really playing the deck, although playing the deck is part of it. I think that the key to this is really playing the scenario. If you don't want any spoilers, turn it off now. Here's the thing. On the first round, I talked about pulling out the warrior and being able to kill him. And then here's the thing. This time 2 event that happens, this is where having cards in your hand is a problem, or may not be even a problem, but just is upsetting for players who have all these awesome cards in your hand. You have to get over that being upset that you have cards in your hand and you're discarding them. Okay, the game is getting rid of those. You get to draw 3 more cards when you put that last time counter. So that's fine. The 2 that the quest card gives you, plus you get the 1 for the beginning of your turn. So it's but you can't save any cards. So, but this is the quest, or this is the stage of the quest that you want to be able to turtle. You want to set up your hand, and you want to have enough resources to do stuff with. So the way that I was able to use that deck to beat the game was I took after I had enough. I knew that I was going to quest through the 1B side of this. Okay, I made sure that I quested through it on the last possible time counter. So I didn't do it right away because then I would only have 3 cards in my hand. I was doing it so that I had 5 cards in my hand, and then my hope was that I would keep my allies as much as I could. I would keep as many allies as I could. The other thing to do is to keep that feint if you can, because to be able to feint Chief Church or an enemy when you get to quest 2B here, I think that is the issue. So you get to quest 2A, and then you have to get rid of all your items. You would have to get rid of Horn of Gondor and the Celebrian Stone, and you get rid of your mounts. That's fine. You're only using a mount to most likely onto Eomer. And then from there, you have to get rid of all your allies but 1. And then this Menu Duve Ravine card gives all your Dunlanding enemies +1 attack and +1 defense. Okay, then when you flip it over, you'll see it says you put a Boar clan enemy into play, engage with you, shuffle the deck, each player shuffles discard pump, play. This is why you're going to want to keep a feint if you have it. because you want to be able to feint the enemy that's in play. You've just gotten rid of everything. So maybe you have an unexpected courage on Aomer, which is the place to put the unexpected courage, so that you can defend with him if you want, but you also may end up taking a pretty big attack. So if you feint that warrior, then that's how it's going to work. Okay, and then you'll notice that you're going to draw a card again. Okay, so at this point you probably have 5 or 6 cards in your hand as long as you time it correctly. And now it comes back to here. So you get through combat. Once you get through combat, now you have to put quest card 3A out there. And 3A, Chief Church comes into play, engage with the first player, but it's after combat, so Chief Church doesn't make an attack. So that's wonderful. And it turns out that Chief Church does not take any damage, or cannot be destroyed. So since he can't be destroyed, you're not going to attack him back anyways. You just want to chump him for a long time. Okay, and then you get another time counter. Time is equal to 5. And so at the end of that turn, it goes down to 4. So here's where you really have to play good. So hopefully you have 6 cards in your hand, 5 or 6 cards, and hopefully a whole bunch are allies. So now at this point, you can play your allies out using all the resources that you've accumulated, and then you just want to make sure that you're questing hard with Éowyn and your allies, your extra allies that you have. If you have Faramir out, that's great, because if you can get rid of that location that came out at the end of 2A, then that's going to help you out. You don't get the Dunlandings don't get their bonuses. In the end, this is a quest that I really enjoyed revisiting. Okay, I enjoyed revisiting because it's not only how you build the deck here, but it was also how you play it and how you play the game. It's not only just build a power deck and do this. I would suggest that a lot of decks may not be able to get through this because you don't want to necessarily have card draw. Notice I don't have any card draw in this deck. You don't want to necessarily have 15 cards in your hand because the scenario is killing card draw. You just want to have a ton of chump blockers, and you want to play them at the right time so that you can actually beat the scenario. Just last gasps about this, you'll see that I have the White Council in this deck. That's nice because if you get this in your opening hand, you can transfer resources. You can pay one, let's say, out of Theodred's resource pool to put it into Éowyn's resource pool, and then that gives her 2 resources to put an unexpected courage on Aomer. You can draw a card, which I wouldn't suggest for this scenario. You can also ready a hero, so that readying is really nice. So the White Council is really nice card for this particular scenario in this particular pack that came with it. So there it is. That's my minimum purchase. Let's beat up on the Dunland Trap deck video. Have a great day, everybody.
And if you're interested in finding this or any of our back episodes of Card Talk, feel free to search YouTube, where you can find our flagship video episodes with the username Card Talk 2018. Or you can search the RSS feed, cardtalk2018.libsyn.org, for our extended audio versions of our podcast. Or you can find us on Facebook at Card Talk 2018. And if you have any questions for Grant or myself, or for both of us, feel free to email us at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.